And the Wisconsin Badgers have a murderer's row this season, the second season for Luke Fickell. They have to play Alabama in the non-conference. They go to USC. They go to Iowa. They play Oregon. They play Penn State. It's not going to be easy. Luke Fickell and the Badgers coming off a disappointing 7-6 record in his first season in Madison. He spoke with our Dennis Dodd and Danny Kanell today.
All right, back here in Indianapolis, Big Ten Media Days, joined by Luke Fickell, head coach for Wisconsin, entering year 2. How are we doing?
Doing well. Getting towards the end of the day here. I'm used to this. How about you guys?
Hey, this is talking season. For us, it's talking season year round.
You're in shape. You're in
exactly.
shape.
We're well traveled in this area. Year 2. How would you assess year 1? Like, what do you take from year 1, which was probably below even what you wanted to attain in year 1? What did you learn in year 1 with Wisconsin?
Year 1 is always different. And I don't mean that like, I kind of come from Cincinnati, I had year 1, and I recognize, okay, there's a lot of things we didn't do in year 1, a lot of things we didn't know. If I ever do this again, I'll do it different. I'll make sure I know these things as we go into a season. And so you go to Wisconsin and you say, okay, all those things that happened to us at Cincy, I had that experience. I'm going to make sure I know all these things going into year 1. And sure enough, you get into the season and you realize, like, it's really difficult to figure out what you've got, how you guys all mesh together until you really have those critical adverse situations. And so I learned that we didn't handle those in the best way. We didn't maybe have the leadership that we needed to sustain through some of those tougher times. And I mean that through even some injuries. Everybody has injuries. We had some key critical ones that kind of brought that to the forefront right away. And that's what I would say. Like, that's what we didn't handle as well as we needed to be successful.
It still blows my mind a little bit that Wisconsin runs the air raid. But talk about another talk about question. Talk about Tyler Van Dyke and what he gives you from Miami.
So, again, I don't like to be labeled as with the like I always tell Phil, like look, we're the Wisconsin offense.
Right.
Now, it's got air raid principles. We're still evolving and changing, not changing, but developing. But it is definitely different, and it is definitely, there's some bases to the passing game that are different and unique, and I think are going to be really good for us. Tyler Van Dyke brings in a guy that's been in 3 systems. He's had 3 different offensive coordinators at Miami. He's had to battle through a lot of ups and downs, from incredible success and being praised to obviously then not maybe that same way, and handling the criticisms and maybe even not having the opportunity to play, then coming back. And to me, that's made him who he is. That's given him the humility to get back up and continue to grow. And he's had to handle some of those adversities. And it showed when he walked in the door at our place, because he was really humble. He was really embracing to all things and understood that this is going to be a competition as long as it's going to be. It needs to be. And so he's embraced all those things, and I think that has really helped him grow and has put us, I think, in a really good place.
Believe it or not, some of us in this business are wrong sometimes. Not a lot, but sometimes we are. And I think some of that comes with expectations that we put on players, coaches, that we just assume they had success in one place, so they're just going to pop in and instantly it's going to work. And I think we saw that somewhat with you at Wisconsin. And with Phil Longo coming in, he had Drake May at North Carolina. He's lighting it up and all these numbers. With, you mentioned last year adversity, leadership. How much of that is even possible to achieve in a short window of time with the amount of turnover that's not only the staff but the players as well?
I know it's difficult, but it's a difficult game, right? And that's what you're called to be able to do. I think it's trying to figure out what leadership looks like, right? I mean, there's 3 billion books on leadership, right? And every one of them are a little bit different. So to say, well, I've read 35 books on leadership and this is the way to do it. Like, I think every place is a little bit different. You've got qualities that you want as the leaders and what it is that you want to be able to do. But there's many different ways of doing it. And so I think there's a morph to, hey, understand what kind of kids we have, what's got a chance to be successful, but not deviating from the things I know needs to be a part of our leadership in order for us to grow and be successful. And so I think that's what we were finding out so much last year. And nothing against anyone in particular. I do think Tanner Mordecai walking in the door embodied all those things. Getting hurt put us, in a situation where we may have lost one of the better leaders in a short amount of time. And I think all those things compounded, but in the long run, I think it really showed us the areas that we needed to address. And as you guys know, winning can mask a lot of things. And to be quite honest with you, had some of those things been different and you won, I don't know that you would know as much about who you are and what your team needs going into year 2 as we do now.
If there's anyone who knows the Big Ten, it's you. I'm never going to bet against a 3-time state wrestling champion who went to Ohio State. But how has this league changed? Because it's forming a new reputation as we speak.
Yeah, the coast-to-coast Big Ten, I call it. So, yes, I think those are all awesome. I mean, I think it's a great challenge. I think it's motivating, to be honest with you. I think it's just a part of the evolution. I love it. I'm a traditionalist, right? I said it when I was up there earlier today. Like, I know the history of the Big Ten. I know the rivalries. I know the traditions. I grew up as a kid in this, and then played and was fortunate enough to coach in it for 20-some years. But I think the greatest thing we've got going is the ability for us to create new history and new traditions and new rivalries. And I think it's the way of the world. And we're not losing anything. We're just having an opportunity to gain some of the new things. And that's not what's most challenging to me. Most challenging is what is the next, after 8 more months, what's it going to look like? And for me, wanting to build a program, not build a team, it makes it really challenging when you don't know, you can't set yourself with a 2, a 4, a 6-year plan, but because you really don't know what the structure is going to look like. And so that to me is the most daunting task, because you're always, as the head coach, looking to, not just in one, you're looking to make sure you got a plan for moving this thing forward. So I think the expansion, all those things, is an incredible motivating factor for us all. Not saying a demotivating factor, okay, now how do we build a program based on, what we're going to have here in 9 months?
Part of the evolution of the Big Ten expansion also comes with no divisions. The schedule you guys have is brutal. Alabama comes to town early. When you see that schedule, I know what your approach has to be. Like, hey, we want to play against the best. What was your initial reaction? Is that what it is? Is that how you have to approach it?
I knew we had Alabama, to be honest with you. Even when the schedule came out, I didn't look at it for 6 weeks. You'd hear people talking about it, but I knew it was going to be different.
Right.
And I knew it wasn't going to be like last year. But to be honest with you, I really didn't until about 6 weeks ago. I need to look at this thing, and because we got to prepare for the the first 4 weeks at least, and that's when it becomes daunting. But in a lot of ways, you try to reverse it and say, okay, that's what's going to be the greatest motivator for us, is to understand we're going to have to do things a little bit different. Just the nature of our league, the nature of the schedule. It's forcing me to say, okay, we need to look at this NFL models and some of the things that they do. And not say we're switching and we're going to do what the NFL does, but they play a longer season. They play week in and week out. Like, there's got to be some things to these 18 to 22-year-olds that, yes, we got to grow and develop throughout an entire season. But if we can't play 22 guys on offense and 22 guys on defense and make sure we're built for 12 to 13 games, it's going to cost us. And so it's helped me to kind of change my mentality and look at how we got to do things a little bit different. But I think more than anything, it's incredibly motivating to our team and our program to say, don't look at the destination. Don't look at the end. We know we have an objective. We know we want to play for a championship. Let's understand something, that we're going to have to be in a different place when we start week 1 than I ever have been, meaning just because we know the growth that we need to have to be able to truly measure ourselves at where we are in week 3.
All right, hard right segue on that subject. It looks like we're getting rid of walk-ons in this House settlement. You're discussing roster caps. Where are you on where that number should be, and where's the league? Because what I'm told is Power 4 is going to come to one decision on that. What's an ideal number for you?
They made us kind of say this the other day in a meeting, and everybody was all over the place, from 140 to, I think I was the lowest, and I said 100 to 105. And not that I believe that that's the best place to go, but I think that knowing that what we're going to have to deal with, I think that's got to be the ideal. Do I believe getting rid of walk-ons is a good thing? No. Do I believe that 18 to 22-year-olds in development and what's important within your program? No. I wish we could have some version of a practice squad or whatever we go to, but I also don't believe that it's going to be the best thing if we unlimit things like it was 50, 60 years ago. So we've got to be able to embrace the changes in the times and understand that there's going to be some things we're going to have to do a little bit different, from the way we practice to the way we develop, but also to the way we recruit.
Yeah.
If you are limited to 105 and they're all scholarship, do you really want 105 scholarship guys? Do you really want to still kind of pigeonhole some guys, say, well, these are our walk-ons, so to speak, that are going to be the guys that develop? that who knows what you're going to have in 2 and 3 and 4 years. So there's a lot of those things, like you said, when building a program and you're trying to envision the future, it makes it really difficult to put a plan in place. So hopefully we can get some of these parameters sooner rather than later.
And I real quick, I love these type of guys because they remind me of you. Your safety, Hunter Wooler, 120 tackles last year. Describe him.
Hunter is what it is that we need and want. And I don't just mean that. I mean, like, he is born and bred, so I think that it means something a little bit different. Not that if you didn't grow up in Wisconsin, it doesn't mean the same thing. Look, I didn't grow up there. I didn't go to school there. But when you've got guys like that truly bleed it, that have always, that care more as much about the past as they do about the present, but also about the future, it gives you a chance in the leadership models that we want for to be what you're looking for. Meaning, like, he is going to create, set, and uphold that standard for everybody within that locker room. And that's what we saw as it got towards the tougher part of last year. Guys like him really emerged and stepped out from saying, it's not just about the older guys. It's not just about the seniors. Like, this world today, you lead from all different areas. And I don't care if you're a freshman or you're a senior. Like, you need to be a guy that is willing to step out and even say some of the things within your own family and hold yourself and everybody else accountable.
Do you like to rank stuff? It's probably my least favorite thing to do.
I don't like to.
But we're doing it anyway.
I don't like to pick like winners. I don't like to pick scores.
Depth chart. He does it every day.
That is true.
Yeah, those aren't as public. So.
All right, so we want you to rank the top 5 toughest coaches you've had to face. And I don't want to hear like Nick Saban or Ryan. Those guys get enough shine. Like, I want to hear like from the low, like, who keeps you up at night?
Coordinators, assistants, head coaches.
No, you know what? Honestly, I don't know if I would say number 1 or 5. I don't know if I can rank them, but Scott Frost is a guy that I'm not even sure where right now. But like, I played him when he was a coordinator at Oregon. I played him when he was a head coach at UCF. I just that
I love that answer.
I do
one
too.
of the ones
I
that
do
just
too.
pops right out at me. Oh gosh, the old who's the head coach? I can't remember. At Tulsa now.
Kevin White?
Kevin Wilson.
Wilson.
Kevin Wilson. I remember when he was even at Indiana, when he was at Oklahoma. I remember playing against some of them, and Kevin Wilson was a guy that I thought did a really, really good job, and it was unique to prepare against. I'll throw in my buddy Mark D'Antonio, because where it might not, you say, oh, you're not going to get the flashiest of things, but I can promise you this, that you are going to get a physical, tough group of guys that you might not be surprised on what you got schematically, but you'd be surprised at how physical and some of the toughness sides of things. I'm trying to think of those creative guys as we got into some of that league in the AAC. Man, you got some uniqueness now. I really do think it's down at Florida State. Oh gosh, the head coach.
Mike Norvell. Coming from Memphis,
Yeah.
he was.
We played against him in Memphis. I thought they did a phenomenal job in their run game schemes. Everybody thinks about the passing game, and Mike Norvell, I thought, did one of the best jobs in their run game schemes and the things that we had to go against. And we played them back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
And they still surprised us with some things that they did in back-to-back weeks. So we played them the last week and then the championship game. And those are probably the ones that, off the top of your head, that I didn't even say a defensive guy other than Mark D'Antonio, right?
Right.
Not that I don't, say that we're scheming against, Dan Lanning. Okay, there you go. Well, we played him at Georgia in the Peach Bowl when we were at Cincinnati, and I think that they did an unbelievable job. Some of those guys we had no chance of blocking.
That's a
in front
great
anyway,
list.
That is a
I
good
list.
list.
That list.
I like it too.
So,
especially
off the top of my head, I feel bad that I couldn't remember Kevin Wilson's name off the top of my head, and Mike Norvell's off the top of my head, but I remembered what it is that we had to prepare against, and I remember what it is that they did, and I've always respected them for that.
Well done.
That's great.
Outstanding ranking. Thanks for the time, man. Appreciate it. Good luck this season.
Thanks.
Wisconsin has started each of the last 4 seasons inside the AP top 20 and finished the season unranked. They haven't won more than 8 games in a regular season since going to the Rose Bowl back in 2019, and it is not going to be easy to go above that this season with their schedule no longer in the Big Ten West. Divisions are done in the Big Ten as well.